We're back for our UFC Fight Night Royval versus Cop. Best bets this Saturday night from the UFC Apex, the final UFC card of the year and of the ESPN era. But of course, before we get to the fights on Saturday, we do have our best bets for this card. Now, we do have two new fights added to this Fight Night card, and I'll get to one of them with the best bets actually in a second, but the one I guess I won't cover, I'll go over real quickly right now. Joanson Breathu is fighting Isaac Thompson, an Australian from Team Alpha Male, obviously in Sacramento, California. I think Joanson Breathu should win. Isaac Thompson, has lost two fights, LFA fighter, never touched the belt in LFA, coming off a split decision victory. Yeah, it should be easy work for Joanson Breathu, especially with Thompson coming off a couple of days' notice. Now, there's a new fight for Bobby Green. We'll get to that in a second, but we've got 5 best bets on this card. And folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more UFC and PFL content here on the channel. Again, main channel, college basketball best bets, NBA best bets, college football, NFL, but also on the channel on Greedo Plays MMA, the channel you're watching this video on, our PFL predictions for PFL Lyon, France. Vadim Nemkov, Henan Ferreira in the main event for the PFL Heavyweight Championship. That was posted earlier in the week, so go make sure to check out that video. That's going to be linked in the description down below, and there might be some PFL in this exact video as well. Just you wait. Anyways, let's get on to it. First of 5 best bets. Again, hit that subscribe button down below for more. We're like really close to 2,000 subs, so let's make that happen if possible. First best bet. Okay, Bobby Green, King Green, inside the distance. Now, this is my guess on the odds here. I don't think, this is definitely not going to be to the point where it's unplayable, right? There are not odds yet on Bobby Green to, there's not Bobby Green inside the distance odds yet. My guess is plus 110. Maybe it's better, maybe it's worse. I don't know. Because currently, Bobby Green's around a minus 200 favorite. We don't have any odds for any props yet or actually like anything other than just the money line. I have to imagine it's going to be good value for Bobby Green to finish Lance Gibson Jr. So, obviously, we did not get to talk about this fight earlier in the week with our predictions video because it just got announced. I didn't even know that Bobby Green was actually scheduled to compete on the card. I didn't know it was Bobby Green versus TBA, but the UFC has found an opponent for King Green. I believe it is Lance Gibson is the third ever son of a UFC fighter to compete in the UFC. I think he's third, or is he fourth? Regardless, obviously Lance Gibson's father, Lance Gibson Sr., used to be a UFC fighter, and now Junior is fighting in the promotion. He called for a UFC fight earlier this year. I remember he did a whole marketing campaign on Instagram, and his video that he made outside of the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle was pretty solid. It actually got me kind of interested in Lance Gibson. I mean, I knew of him obviously from PFL, but I was like, you know what? You don't see these guys promoting themselves that much. Let's give them a shot, Give them a shot in the Seattle card, and the UFC just never responded, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, Lance Gibson has not fought in a year. He tried to get on that Seattle card in the late winter / early spring of this year, and there's been nothing about Lance Gibson. He just hasn't fought, and now here you go. He's fighting on the final ESPN card in the Apex against Bobby Green. Lance Gibson's striking lacks. It does. He lacks the striking game. He has one, but it's not to the level of Bobby Green. And you can say, well, Bobby Green hasn't finished anybody in a long time since Grant and Dawson, who just got knocked out last week. Sure. Guys, Lance Gibson's last loss came via a jab to Vladimir Tokov, who was good in Bellator, but not known for knocking anybody out. Lost to JJ Wilson, lost to Chris Gonzalez, just lost the last fight in Bet City Fight Nights over in Russia. Okay. Tokov, again, had his days in Bellator, beat Daniel Scatizzi, but was never looked at as a premier guy because of his early loss to Gonzalez and lost to JJ Wilson. We never really thought of Tokov as a high-level product, right? He was good, but nothing to write home about. And that ended up being Lance Gibson's first ever L, was by knockout in the first round, and actually only loss. And you might say, okay, well, he's 9-1. Well, who has he beaten? Nobody. The only real test he's ever gotten is Vladimir Tokov, and he got knocked down in the first round in a minute. And then his last 2 fights, back-to-back wins after everyone kind of got released by Bellator when PFL bought them. So it's either PFL wants you to come back and PFL thinks that you're going to either be part of their Super Fights League or just their league in general, then they'll bring you back. If not, they don't really care for you. And that's kind of what they told Lance Gibson. They said, okay, go back to the regional scene, pal. And he's had 2 fights since fighting last in Bellator and losing to Tokov in 2023. He's won 2 fights against absolute nobodies, and I mean that with the utmost respect, but Lance Gibson's wins are Sharon Spain, a 19-42 fighter in Muckleshoot Fight Night, where he not won by first round knockout. This individual in Spain has been knocked out 17 times and is 37 years old. And then RJ Scrappy Hoyt, who's 5-6, who Gibson beat him in, again, Muckleshoot Fight Night. What? Yeah, I'm going with Bobby King Green. I'm going with Bobby Green. I don't think Lance Gibson can hang with him on the feet at all. Lance Gibson's only chance is to take down Bobby Green and submit him. That's the only chance he has. But Bobby Green's takedown defense has never been horrible. He's actually been always a good defensive wrestler, and the way guys have been able to beat Bobby Green recently has been, well, Patty going out there and whatever. I'm not going to talk about the fight. That was weird. Mauricio Hoofy knocked him out. Jalen Turner knocked him out. You don't go in there and just wrestle Bobby Green. I mean, Islam did it, but obviously Makhachev did that. It's just not usually how you beat Bobby Green. Like, Drew Dober knocked him out. Jalen Turner knocked him out. When Fiziev beat him, it was a striking fight. I still argue Bobby Green won the fight. I know people, nobody agrees with me, but go watch the fight. I think Bobby Green won. Yeah, I'm taking Bobby Green here to finish Lance Gibson Jr. I don't think this one's close. If Gibson tries to take him down, sure, I think Bobby Green's got good enough takedown defense. And I don't think, like, Lance Gibson's not in that level where I say, oh, he's just an undeniable wrestler where he's going to take you down and hold you down. I've watched Lance Gibson fight. He's good. He's not, like, I never particularly thought Lance Gibson was a UFC talent. I was cool with him, promoting himself. And I was like, all right, at this point, give him a shot in the UFC, or at least give him a Contender Series shot. And now he's going and fighting Bobby Green. To me, this feels like the UFC looking at Bobby Green, who's lost 2 in a row. They need to build his name back up a little bit. And then he's going to get sent in his next fight, pay-per-view next year on Paramount. And he's going to fight a guy who's up and coming in the rankings. He's going to fight Killian Salkid after he beats Rong Zhu. Can you not just imagine that right now? Salkid beats Rong Zhu in Australia, and they give him Bobby Green next in America. That's undoubtedly what's going to happen. Or they're going to give Bobby Green, like, who else could they give him who's coming up? Ribovic. They'll give him Esteban Ribovic. Or they'll give him, I think, honestly, he's like, Padilla's above him now. They'll give him, Tom Nolan. Green could beat Tom Nolan. I don't know. They're going to give him one of those fights, though, right? Like, we're going to build your name. We're going to build your name off of beating Bobby Green. This is a win, though. This is to pump Bobby Green back up. He will beat Lance Gibson, and he will knock him out. We're going to go inside the distance victory for Bobby King Green. On to our next fight. Let's go to a women's matchup in the strawweight division. Amanda Lamos and Jillian Robertson. I'm going Jillian Robertson to win by either submission or decision. This one's pretty easy to me, and I was honestly a little shocked when I saw the odds at -135 for double chance, obviously, for Robertson to either get a sub or win by decision. I was actually very surprised by this. I thought it was going to be, Jillian's, I think, a -175 favorite? So I'm surprised we get it at this because, guys, we know Jillian Robertson's not going to knock out Amanda Lamos. And, maybe she TKOs her. No, I highly doubt it. I know her last 2 finish wins have been by TKO but via strikes. If she's going to beat Lamos by finish, she's going to sub her. Because we've seen Lamos sub by Vina Janjihoba. We saw Zhang Weili beating the crap out of her on the ground, and she still wasn't able to TKO Lamos. I saw Tatiana Suarez have, a lot of top control and just overall control on Amanda Lamos and was not able to get a finish. And I understand Tatiana Suarez is not a finisher, sure, but you don't really TKO Lamos, but you can sub her. Janjihoba did it. Jessica Andrade, albeit that was a standing arm triangle choke, but that's how I think you're going to finish Amanda Lamos, not by, beating the crap out of her with strikes. So I think Jillian Robertson here is a pretty safe bet in terms of either getting a submission or a decision win. Likely it's going to be a decision, but earlier in the week, I did pick sub for Robertson, which a little bit of an ambitious pick, and I hope it happens, just because for the betterment of the sport and the betterment of the division, for the potential Jillian Robertson title opportunity that may come with this somehow, some way. But I do think it's going to be either a decision or a submission for Jillian here. Amanda Lamos, we've just seen it before, and it's just the case. She does not have a good takedown defense. She's not a good wrestler, not a great grappler, but it's really that, I wouldn't say it's all entirely her grappling. It's just her takedown defense is horrible. And once she gets put on her back, she just doesn't get back up. So if you're able to take Lamos down, she's not going to work back up, especially if you are a good grappler and you know how to maintain top control, which each of Lamos' last 3 losses have been able to do to her. Right? That's why we thought Lucindo was going to be able to beat her, but obviously it didn't go that way. Lamos was able to get her own takedowns, but it's not like Lamos is going to be taking down Robertson here. But each of the last 3 Amanda Lamos losses have all been good wrestlers who've had good top control. Tatiana Suarez. Yes, Lamos wins the third round, but everyone wins the third round against Tatiana Suarez. Suarez wins the first and the second by taking down Lamos and holding her down. Vina Jandiroba. Jandiroba takes her down eventually, works her way to the armbar. She has her back, works her way to the armbar. Lamos, gets taken down right away in the first round. Jandiroba's got top control, rides out the round. Second round, Jandiroba gets the takedown again, takes the back, goes to the armbar, fight over. The Zhang Weili fight was dominance all around, and sure, there was not much Lamos was offering back at Zhang Weili, but Zhang Weili had over 16 minutes of top control time against Amanda Lamos. It was domination. Zhang Weili goes 6 of 7 on her takedown attempts in that fight. And again, it's really only 1 per round that Zhang Weili needs, except for the fourth. That was a striking round that Zhang Weili still won. Don't forget, that was a 50-43 fight. What judge scored a round for Lamos? Anyways, that fight was so out of hand. The first round, significant strike tally-wise, was 44-1 in favor of the champion Zhang Weili, who may be coming back down to get her belt from Mackenzie Dern. Who knows? Regardless, Jillian Robertson should absolutely dominate Lamos. I don't think the fight's competitive. I think it's going to be a takedown right away from Jillian, and I think she's going to ride out top control or either get a submission for, the fight. I think it will be a sub. I do think eventually she's going to find a way to get that submission. I think probably she'll jump on Lamos's back. We've seen Lamos, as she tries to get up sometimes, she does just give up her back. So, again, that's a flaw in its own right. So Robertson should be able to jump that, and Jillian should be able to get a submission. If she's not able to get a sub, I doubt, again, I know she's been getting TKOs. Who was it? It was Marina Rodriguez she TKO'd. She TKO'd Poliana Viana. But the submissions are there as well. Subbed Maria Agapova, subbed Priscilla Cachoeira, subbed Piera Rodriguez. I think she should sub Lamos too, just because, again, Lamos has not been TKO'd on the ground, but she has gotten, submitted it down there. And we've seen fights too where Zhang Weili, again, 44 significant strikes in one round, and yet Lamos still does not get finished. I don't think Robertson gets a TKO. I think she wins either by decision or submission. Give that to me at -135 again for Robertson. On to our next fight, and we go to a heavyweight matchup, and Kennedy and Zaku. Only a -135 favorite against Marcus Buchecha. A little surprising. A little surprising. To the point where I'm like, am I missing something from Nzejuku? I don't think I am, so give me Kennedy here. I know Kennedy's 14-6, and he has been losing a little more fights recently, but at heavyweight, Nzejuku is 2-1. Albeit the 2 victories are against low-level guys. I like Chris Barnett, fun story, but it's Chris Barnett. And then Lucas Brzeski, who never really won in the heavyweight division in the UFC, other than the, moments of brief success that he saw in his first ever UFC fight. So here we go. Kennedy and Nzejuku versus Marcus Buchecha. Buchecha, again, we talked about this earlier in the week. We thought, okay, like maybe this guy's going to come in here. This is a world-class, world champion jiu-jitsu guy, 80cc world championship level, jiu-jitsu artist. And he comes into the UFC and he just is just another heavyweight who does not have a gas tank. And we watched Martin Budaj out-cardio him. Yeah, I'm not confident in you anymore. Buchecha goes 1 for 11 on takedowns against Budaj, who I do understand. I think we underrate. I don't know if I want to say underrated. Budaj's run was weird because he never was all that successful, and he was never that, we never thought Budaj was the highest level because he wasn't, in all fairness. But Budaj did leave, and I went over this earlier in the week, but Budaj did leave the UFC as a 7-1 fighter, and he's going to be fighting Will Fury for the Octagon championship in late December. He did go, 7-1 in the promotion, but he got like 1 finish. It was the submission win over Josh Parisian, and the UFC said, we don't have a reason to keep you. If he wins the Octagon belt, though, I think they might be interested again. If he wins like 2 more fights, I think he's going to come back. But Buchecha loses to Budaj, and he's still around, obviously, but he can get a takedown against Budaj. What makes you think he's going to get a takedown against Nzejuku? I don't. Nzejuku's got an 80% takedown defense rate in the UFC. Walter Walker technically took him down because he dropped to the heel hook. That is such a niche thing. Like, yes, it can happen. That's, Walter Walker literally wears a chain of a heel, a snapped off heel, because that's what he does to everybody. And every heavyweight falls victim to it. But Buchecha, who's supposed to be a high-level guy, is he going to be rolling for heels? Is he going to be doing Imanari rolls? I don't think so. He was trying to get takedowns against Budaj. He couldn't get him. And I've seen Nzejuku fight fairly well against guys who look to take him down. And if you can't take down Kennedy and Nzejuku, and we know, again, that takes a lot out of you to consistently go for takedowns. And that's what ultimately costed Buchecha. He was going to lose regardless. But, Buchecha goes for 6 takedowns in the first round. He is somewhat competitive striking-wise in the first round, but loses. Second round gets a takedown against Budai, has top control, but in the third round, he's so gassed because he put 6 takedowns of output in the first round, got the takedown in his first attempt in the second round, and the third round couldn't get a takedown, was gassed, and Budai wins striking-wise. Budai wins 29-28. If he can't get 2 takedowns against Zaku, which I don't think he's going to, he's not going to win. And sure, your jiu-jitsu can be so great. Again, that's fair. Your jiu-jitsu can be awesome. It doesn't matter if you can't get a takedown. It does not mean anything if you can't go out there and take your opponent down. And if, we thought Buchecha was going to be so good, maybe, if he gets 1 takedown against Budai. Some of these guys are novice on the ground because they're heavyweights and they just rely on big power and they're not really athletes. So if you can take them down, you can likely submit them. So we thought maybe that would have been the case with Buchecha and Budai. Well, no, he was not able. I don't even think he attempted submission in the entire fight. Budai reversed him at one point. Just like, come on now. I can't get behind this Buchecha run. He's 5-2, professionally, and he's 35. And Zaku's been fighting in the UFC for quite a bit. He's 33, and we have said heavyweight is his natural weight class. This is the right spot for Zaku. He was a huge light heavyweight who cut a lot of weight. Don't forget, Carl Solberg's got 1 loss in the UFC. It's Kennedy Nzechukwu. Kennedy Nzechukwu out-cardioed Carl Solberg, which sounds crazy to say. It's exactly what happened. I will say it every time for the rest of Kennedy Nzechukwu's career. Who picked Kennedy Nzechukwu to beat Carl Solberg? I did. I did. Plus 250 underdog, that was me. Beginning of the week, plus 260 underdog, that was me. I don't think Buchecha has what it takes to beat Nzechukwu. Honestly, to beat Nzechukwu, you kind of have to knock him out. Jacoby did it. Dawoon Jung did it. Buchecha's not knocking him out. I believe enough in Nzechukwu's defensive wrestling ability and his ability as well to keep the fight standing to the point where Buchecha is not going to be able to sub him. Anyone who is taking Buchecha is saying, Walter Walker subbed Nzechukwu. Guys, Walter Walker would sub everyone outside of the top 7 in the UFC's heavyweight division because he knows how to grapple and he can roll for heel hooks. Legitimately. That's how good Walter Walker is. He goes into fights and says, okay, I'm going to submit you with the heel hook. And it still happens. It's happened 4 fights in a row. Doesn't matter. He's going to fight Curtis Blades next. And actually, that's like the one guy who probably wouldn't fall victim to it because Blades actually has a sense of what's going on grappling-wise. But you know what I mean, right? That happens to everybody. Probably wouldn't happen to Buchecha. Maybe it would at this point. Guys, Buchecha's not going to knock out Nzechukwu. He's not going to take Nzechukwu down twice. I'm going with Kennedy to win the fight, and I'm taking him to get it done. I took Nzechukwu at the beginning of the week by knockout. We'll see if it happens. We've seen a victory here, though. Minus 135 for Nzechukwu to go out and get the victory. On to our next play. Okay, guys, let's say this. I can only find 4 best bets on this card. I have another one coming up. And no, I did not clickbait you. There are still 5 best bets. But, okay. This card is earlier in the day, so... And I know this does sound a little insane and psychotic. Hear me out, guys. Hear me out. I just don't see a world where this doesn't hit. This might look absolutely crazy, and I completely understand it does. Here, I'll drag myself up here. I understand this looks crazy, but come on now. Plus 140, 4-leg parlay. These are the 4 biggest locks on PFL Europe. I didn't want to do this, and I wanted to combine some element of this Fight Night card on this play. I can't, guys. I just can't. There is nothing I can give you from this UFC card other than what I have in the final best bet. There's nothing else I have. Like I don't want to pick Melt Costa. I think Shadier could easily beat him. I don't want that. Am I confident enough to parlay Oleg Shashek? No. Am I confident enough to parlay Yaroslav Amosov? Trust me, I wanted to be, cool, look at the Bellator parlay. No, I'm not parlaying Amosov at minus 400. Am I parlaying any of the women's fights? No. So here we are. 4-leg PFL parlay. I just don't know how any of these 4 lose. Plus 140. All of these seem like PFL setup fights. And yes, Habaroa's fighting Kevin Jusay. I don't think he's losing to just Jusay. Habaroa, if he is any bit of what the PFL is hyping him up to be and anything that we've seen him to be, which is a highly touted prospect and a very good striker for the limited mixed martial arts experience and for being 24, he is going to run through Jusay. If Brian Battle can do it, Habaroa 100% can as well. But we can break all these down fights one by one. First leg of the parlay, that's going to be Boris Atanga to beat Guilherme Soares. And by the way, if you want to see my full PFL predictions, again, those will be linked in the description down below. We go over every single one of these fights in depth. But Boris Atanga to beat Guilherme Soares, easy money. Atanga's, their big Belgian star. Dude hits like a truck. He's, he hits very hard. Okay, I'll say that. Watch Atanga fight and look carefully who the PFL's been booking Atanga to fight. Bad low-level fighters. He's going to knock out Guilherme Soares in the first round. They want nothing to do with Soares. Soares has been knocked out 3 times in his career. He's from LFA, sure, but he just won 1 fight in LFA against a 7-5 fighter. He got knocked out in 4 fights ago, 2017 for him. Yeah, guys, Atanga's going to knock this dude out. Okay, this is a PFL setup fight. What else is a PFL setup fight? Chris Cyborg fighting Sarah Collins? Sarah Collins has had 6 pro fights. You go from beating Leah McCourt to fighting Chris Cyborg for the inaugural PFL Featherweight Championship? Or Super Fight Championship, because Luis Pacheco, get out of here. We don't want you anymore. Yeah, we have a fighter who beat Kayla Harrison. We don't want her anymore. PFL. Yeah, Chris Cyborg's not losing to Sarah Collins. No way, no how. I don't care. Cyborg's 40. She's still the best women's featherweight in the world. Who is better at 145 in the entire world currently than Chris Cyborg? She just beat Larissa Pacheco. It's really not a weight class. It's just a PFL weight class. But no, she's beaten everybody. Arlene Blanco, who beat Sinead Kavanaugh. Well, Cyborg's beat both of them. Kat Zingano, who I don't know if she fights anymore. Cyborg beat her. Leah McCourt couldn't beat Sarah Collins. And I guess the only one left is Aspen Ladd. I'm serious. Oh no, Ladd doesn't even fight for the PFL anymore. She signed with GFL, and GFL obviously collapsed. There's nobody left. There's a reason Cyborg, by the way, is fighting boxing fights, because they can't get her fights in the PFL, because she's beaten everybody. Well, here you go. Here's Sarah Collins, who is a primary jiu-jitsu fighter. Oh, whoa, a grappler is going to submit Chris Cyborg? I'll be damned if that happens. Legitimately, I will be more shocked if Sarah Collins subs Chris Cyborg than when Amanda Nunes got subbed by Juliana Pena. I'll say that. There's no way Cyborg's losing to Sarah Collins. She's knocking her out in the first round. And then final leg of the parlay, Vadim Nemkov, my good pal Vadim Nemkov, to go out and beat Hanan Fedeta? Yeah, obviously. Hanan Fedeta can't grapple. 44-year-old Fabrizio Verdum choked him out. Or, yeah, well, kind of. Tapped him out. And I know that fight got overturned. Well, they technically ruled it a win for Fedeta on the spot, and they overturned it. But Verdum submitted him. Ngannou took him down and beat the crap out of him on the ground. Why wouldn't Vadim Nemkov do the same thing? Guys, Vadim Nemkov has come up to heavyweight, and he has dominated every heavyweight they put in front of him. Tim Johnson dominated. Bruno Capoloza dominated. And that's just because he's my very good pal, Vadim Nemkov. Me and Vadim Nemkov, hey, we go way back. Team Fedor in Russia. Me and Vadim Nemkov, we're boys. Me and Vadim, man. I gotta support my guy right here. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah, I saw him outside of a Bellator event in San Jose. I was like, hey, Vadim, picture. And he doesn't speak English, so he went. I was like, all right, great. Thanks, man. I didn't even know. Oh, he just went like this, and I didn't know if he said yes to the picture, but he didn't say no. So I was like, hey, okay, I got in there. And he took the picture. Awesome. Anyways, yeah, Vadim Nemkov will beat. This is an easy fight for him against Fedeta. And now we're seeing, by the way, I know, again, this is the best video. Ngannou's leaving the PFL? He didn't even do a second fight. He said, oh, my contract's up. I want to fight John Jones now at the White House. Yeah, unfortunately, pal, that ship has sailed. Should have been, I thought you're the CEO of PFL Africa. And I mean, I'm no Don Davis defender, but like, you're nowhere to be found on PFL Africa after you were mad at the UFC for not doing it and PFL does and you don't show up? You fought once for them? Whatever, man. Vadim Nemkov will easily finish Hanan Fedeta, and there's your parlay, plus 140. I just don't know how this doesn't hit. Habaroa is the one concerning part. Trust me, they brought in Jusei for a reason. He's a name, it's in France, so they want to build the Habaroa name. Guys, trust me, Jusei is not beating Patrick Habaroa. We're fine. Plus 140 on the 4-leg parlay. I know this doesn't make that much sense. I get it. Guys, I struggle to find a 5th best bet here, so this is what I had to come to. I'm sorry. So this is our final UFC best bet. Nothing on the main event. Guys, the main event's unplayable, betting-wise. Absolutely. The over-under is 3.5. I'm not confident in either or. I picked third-round TKO for Cop originally. I think it happens, but I mean, I could see this going to the decision. And then what else? The money line. The money line is ridiculous here. Manel Cop's minus... Tapology has him as minus 250. You look on FanDuel right now and check the actual odds. Manel Cop's such a crazy favorite in this fight where it's like, I can't even parlay Cop. There's no reason to. Manel Cop currently is minus 310. Money keeps on pouring in on Manel Cop. Method of victory from Manel Cop by knockouts plus 140, but that doesn't even seem like good enough to play. There's nothing good for Manel Cop in this fight. So in terms of betting, I think he's going to beat Royval, but I'm not that confident to throw a minus 310, obviously, in a parlay with him. So instead, we're going to look at a two-leg parlay. Co-main event is going to be featured here. Kevin Vallejos, who's the future, right? Shout out to Vallejos. He's been great, 16-1, only lost to Jean Silva, Argentinian prospect. He's the second leg. The first leg of the parlay is going to be Steven Asplund. We're taking Steven Asplund to beat Sean Sheriff to open up the card. I get it. You know, Asplund may be kind of a joke. Oh, he's a big fat guy. Look at him. Let's all laugh. Well, he's an athletic fat dude. Yes, he says it himself. He has man tits, but he wins. So what are you going to say? Sean Sheriff's not UFC level. I understand Asplund's first UFC fight was Anthony Garasio, and Garasio is not talented. Well, he hits hard. He wasn't UFC caliber, as we saw in his Contender Series fight. And Garasio went back to CFFC right after and got subbed 2 months after fighting on the Contender, lost the CFFC belt. But Asplund goes out there and knocks him out with the first punch he throws. And now, okay, I have confidence in you because you're actually kind of quick for a heavyweight. And yeah, one punch, yeah, you got power too, which I didn't entirely know if he had. Is he sloppy a little bit? Sure. And if he gets down to a dogfight, I'm kind of scared. Guys, what has Sean Sheriff ever showed us? Seriously, what has he done? How is he even in the UFC? He won 4 fights. His biggest win is for the LXF Heavyweight Championship in Long Beach, California, where he went out and beat 3-1-1 LJ Torres, who's now 3-3-1, who's a 36-year-old heavyweight who doesn't even look like he looks like he's like 205 pounds. This guy weighs 265? Oh my goodness. Anyways, Sheriff beats an absolute nobody. He beats a can for the belt in LXF, and the UFC signs him on short notice as a short replacement to go out and take a beating against Junior Tafa in Australia, I believe, right? That car was in Australia. No, it was in the Apex. Yeah, whatever. Junior Tafa beats him and knocks him out. It was supposed to be, Junior Tafa and Chris Barnett. And it's not. So Sheriff goes out there and gets knocked out. Now he's getting a full camp. Guys, Asplund is actually quick, surprisingly, and I think he hits harder. And he's the way bigger guy, too. Asplund 6'5", Sheriff 6'3". Yeah, I'm going to go with Steven Asplund to find a way to a knockout. Second leg of the parlay is Kevin Vallejos. Vallejos is one of the, I think, best up-and-coming prospects currently in the sport. 24 years old, coming off a decision victory over Danny Silva. Won his first UFC fight against Sung Woo Choi. Won his Contender Series fight, second Contender Series fight, by knockout against Cam Teague. I know his first fight in the Contender, he did lose to Jean Silva. But yes, that's the guy's only loss. Kevin Vallejos has had 17 professional fights. He's lost once to Jean Silva, who's in the top 10 and getting another huge fight coming up in the UFC against Arnold Allen on the first ever UFC on Paramount card. So that is Vallejos' only loss. It is only a matter of time before he's in the top 15, and this is the fight that is going to get him there. At the beginning of the week, I said Vallejos by decision. Yeah, there's a very good chance he could finish him too. I kind of went conservative with my pick, I understand. Yeah, I would not be surprised if Vallejos does find a way to win it inside the distance. But what I can almost guarantee you is that he's going to be Giga, who actually is ranked. So Vallejos will be in the top 15 after this victory. Giga is exactly number 15. But Vallejos is just a better version, honestly, at this point of Giga. I know Giga's got the kickboxing, the Giga kick. Chikadze has won 1 fight since 2021, and it's against Alex Caceres, who the UFC surprisingly cut after being in the UFC for like 15 years. They said, we don't need you anymore. Go fight in dirty boxing against Saijakub Karamov. That's one nice how do you do. Come on, I'm taking Vallejos to beat Giga. Giga looked, even though I think he fought all right against Onama, he did miss weight, and he looked slow at the end of the fight. I have full confidence in Vallejos winning. I think if Vallejos brings it to Giga, I just think Giga's going to crumble. Giga's run was cool, but it was a little bit of an overrated run, let's be honest. He beat Jamie Simmons, he was just kind of a random guy they found, Apex Days Classic. The Afro Samurai was his nickname. Then he beat Cub Swanson, old Cub Swanson. And then he beat Edson Barbosa in a main event. That kind of ended Edson's prime, let's say. It was already over at that point, but that ended Barbosa's time in the top 15 when he lost to Giga, or top 10 when he lost to Giga. And then Chikadze just got the crap beat out of him by Calvin Kattar, and then he's just gone all downhill since. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Kevin Vallejos in the second leg of the parlay, and I think this is a pretty good one here. So Vallejos and Asplin get us to -115 on the 2-leg. If you don't like the 4-leg crazy one for plus money with the PFL, then this one is a much more manageable spot as well. So there you have it. That's our second parlay of the day and our 5th total best bet as well. So folks, that's going to do it for our UFC best bets here for the final UFC card of 2025 with Brandon Royval and Manel Kape in the main event. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you did. It's a great thing in the picks. We'll be back next week for our PFL Africa predictions. The PFL still has one more card, and then after that, for the 5 weeks we are off with no UFC, I'm going to be doing some content looking forward to 2026. So we're not going to be off on Greedo Plays MMA for 5 weeks. Don't you worry on that. We're going to have a couple, maybe at least one video a week. You'll see the formats we start doing. So be on the lookout for that. But obviously, we still have one more predictions video to make for 2025, and that comes next week on Monday. Probably Monday for our PFL Africa predictions for the championship card again for the PFL's Africa promotion. So make sure to join us for that, folks. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.